with the Christmas holidays recently passed, I went back and played the first Harry Potter game, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer Stone, on PlayStation 2, and noticed something I never did as a kid. It kind of feels like baby's first soul game. Not because it's hard, but because of how it teaches exploration and progression without holding your hand. And that made me look at the whole game differently. And no, I'm not saying if you beat the original Harry Potter games on PS2 that you've basically played a Dark Souls game. I know there will be somebody who tries to say that in the comments. Now, I do want to clarify that this is only about the Harry Potter and the Sorcerer Stone game on PS2, which looks a lot like the Chamber of Secrets one, because they went back and used these same assets from the Chamber of Secrets ones to make the Sorcerer Stone as it came out a year after Chamber of Secrets was released. I went back and played these games just with the holidays around. I felt like a good time for a Harry Potter marathon, and not necessarily wanting to watch the movies, as my kids still aren't quite interested in it. I decided to go back and start replaying some of the games. And since I have a YouTube channel and want to start doing some more nostalgia gameplay stuff, I figured this would be the perfect time to do a video on it. And you all get to join me and listen to me talk about some of my favorite games, and maybe some of yours too. If you guys want to leave some comments of your games down below, I'll see about hitting them. So the first thing I want to talk about is really Hogwarts in space. In the games, it really, in the early 2000s, with the first games coming out, it really felt interesting to see a place that we had only read about come to life and be us to be able to interact with it. The game actually feels pretty populated and almost like a real space, even with characters not, necessarily moving around or anything as much as modern games. But we also didn't get a whole lot of empty spaces, which is surprising for a game of that age. It definitely encourages wandering with the secret passageways and the different ways that you can travel around the school. And it's also nice not to always be forced to take the same route. Now, I'm going to preface that with saying that there's also times where you have to follow either Ron or Hermione to classes, and it forces you to take a specific route, or the game does not really react real well. So, there is some of that in there. I did like the progressions through spells. The classes are really fun, even though I'm pretty sure there's probably a large rate of children going missing as they learn new spells. The backtracking, you always backtrack from your classrooms back to the common room. There's always that backtrack. And you can also go back through the classes after you unlock new spells and get more of the challenge shields. So that makes it interesting to go back and really replay those and see the different areas that you missed. Again, learning the secret passageways are awesome. Learning the castle, learning where those are, it just saves a bunch of time running back and forth. Especially since the stairs take forever to get back. The atmosphere of the music is great. I think they did a wonderful job of bringing in music from the movies and places like that to really give that space that living feeling. Sound design also great, although they put a very heavy emphasis on running. And then, the early 2000s PS2 charm. Sometimes there are some facial expressions that I'm not sure they really thought of how they could be taken in the future. We'll put a few of them up right here. Now, for the things that didn't age as well. The combat is really simple. Hold a button, push a button, wait for the spell to charge, shoot it off. A lot of the enemies are repetitive. Once you see them the first time, you're going to see them throughout every level of the game. That's just the way it was back then. Not a whole lot of chance to be adventurous, so to speak. I'd still say it's pretty engaging today, but it's not going to give you the same feeling of exploration or sense of wonder as like Hogwarts Legacy in the recent years has. But my biggest gripe was the camera. The camera fought me every which way. I want to pop up a clip here of me getting absolutely having to die out just to get the camera fixed. With the camera controls, platforming in that game feels really rough. So at some points, especially when the camera gets caught up in the walls or other places it's not necessarily supposed to be, and it just causes so many problems. The other issue is the pacing. There's sections of this game where it feels like it is just trying to slow you down from completing the game. Things like the potions class where you have to go to Hagrid's hut to collect the ingredients. It's little things like that where they were just trying to pad the runtime for the game. And you can really feel it in those sections as there's not a whole lot there for puzzles or enemy combat. No, there's kind of a mixed bag of it all. The boss encounters. There were some bosses that were actually fun. Like the first time you fought the venomous, whatever, Gorilla, or whatever the plant boss was. Then there's the other hand where it's like the boss like the troll, and how horrible that boss fight was, where you had to wait for him to get the spelled flooring. There's a lot of in between. They are all pretty fun once, but they get kind of repetitive whenever you see them later on in the game. I did like the Quirrell fight at the end. It was extremely difficult. We'll talk about difficulty spikes in there, but it did give us a two-stage boss like Dark Souls before Dark Souls happened. The next thing I want to talk about is the difficulty. There's sections in this game that I struggled with, and I can only imagine. I imagine I was a little bit better with them as a child because I was playing games like that constantly. The controls were pretty similar to other games of that time period. It's not as forgiving as an adult as it may seem, but it's a lot more forgiving on some things where you kind of understand what's implied. And some sections are still weirdly hard. The Quirrell fight was extremely difficult because it just like ramped the difficulty on the combat up to 10. And that's really all. All in all, it still holds up as a great game and a great play today if you are interested in something like that. Really, if you're getting into the Harry Potter series or you want to play some older games, older PS2 games, I would definitely argue that it would be a great game to pick up and play. It was really important back then because we weren't really getting quality movie tie-in games at that time. I think Disney did a lot of good ones with the PlayStation 1. Not necessarily that they were good story-wise, but the Harry Potter games really went out that showed that you could do quality story tie-ins with movies. At least the first 3. And we'll talk about the 4th one when we get to it. So the game definitely trusted players more than most games of that time period. It wasn't going to hold your hand every time. Yeah, you would get some audio cues, but it wasn't going to tell you exactly what to do. And that's probably why it really felt like a Souls game, especially the Quirrell battle. Like, it gave you no explanation on what you were supposed to be doing and when to do it. The first part of that boss, it was the dogs. You at least had some understanding because you had faced the dogs before. Loomis took care of them. But that second part, it was just dodge the boulders, wait for him to shoot a spell at you, and then reflect that spell back and hope you hit him. So, I wanted to know what you guys think. Have you guys played this before? If you have, what do you think? Did it hold up to your expectations? If you went back, do you feel like if you went back and played it now, it would be there? It would be just as good? Or do you think it should just stay in memory? Now, I'm going to go ahead and say that next Next Monday, we're going to try and do the second Harry Potter game, which is very, very similar to this one. They were built in the same engine. They used a lot of the same assets. It's going to look pretty similar gameplay-wise. As always, if you like the content I'm producing, think about liking and subscribing. If you want to leave a comment and comments of games that you guys would play, would be great for nostalgia reviews. Hit below. But as always, we'll see you next time.